Deputy Ruth Coppinger.
Thank you, Laskin Corla. Taoiseach, I assume that you're not going to be joining with the Anti-Austerity Alliance in sending heartiest congratulations to Syriza and to the millions of workers, unemployed and oppressed people of Greece who've elected them to power. I'm making this assumption because of your lacklustre response to the election of the first anti-austerity government in Europe. Your remarks about Europe drifting to populism put you at odds once again with the working class people of this country who've shouldered the debt burden you foisted on their shoulders, and are delighted to see that the debt issue is being placed centre stage once again. Taoiseach, people are wondering exactly whose side you're on. You and your government have been at pains to create a distance between Ireland and Greece. The Taoiseach was at it again last night on the television. And rather than showing solidarity over the years with the other bullied pupils in the Troika classroom, you joined in their mockery, with your Finance Minister even making snide remarks about feta cheese 2 years ago. Why have you consistently lined up with the right-wing austerity governments of Europe, rather than with the poor people of Greece, who have been reduced to scavenging in dustbins, in leftover fruit markets for food? Why are you, Taoiseach, why are you more at home with the global elites and the billionaires representing the 1%, who gathered in Davos and whom you rub shoulders with each year? Taoiseach, why did you immediately reject the idea of a debt conference, as raised by Syriza? Why? Surely that would be an opportunity to outline the injustice of the savage austerity imposed on the people of Ireland, Greece, Spain, etc. And surely it would be a chance to show how all of this was done to salvage the rule of the international banks and tycoons. It would be an opportunity, Taoiseach, to audit wealth, to separate out the odious bank debt that was heaped on workers and the unemployed throughout Europe. Do you agree that if the Troika doesn't agree to dramatically write down the debts of Greece and Ireland, that we should refuse to pay those debts, that this isn't our debt, and that the $8 billion that we're going to be forced to pay this year will be better put into our public services? Will you now call on the IMF and the European elites to respect the mandate given to Syriza? And Taoiseach, will you and the Labour Party take note of the fate that befell other parties who made excuses about why they had to impose these debts onto people? Parties like PASOK, who have now been annihilated. But will you also recognise that what's coming down the line with the potential election of Podemos in Spain will also be reflected in Ireland if you continue with the hated water charges which you're trying to foist on the population?
Thank you, Deputy.
And finally, Taoiseach, will you accept that in Ireland this will be reflected? And I can tell you that the Anti-Austerity Alliance will certainly work to ensure that the radicalisation and politicisation of people that's taking place who are fighting the water charges will be reflected with anti-austerity candidates in every constituency to take on the likes of yourself.
Thank you. Taoiseach.
I say to Deputy Coppinger, the place for negotiation in respect of concessions or changes to the regime that are imposed on any country is at the European Council and the various councils of ministers. In Ireland's case, when this government was elected, we were told repeatedly, and by the Fianna Fáil party in particular, that you would not be able to change any of the Troika programme as laid out. But because the government set out a strategy for constructive engagement, we were able to deal with the promissory notes, with interest rate reductions, with changes in the programme, like reduction of the VAT, the use of the sale of any state assets for sustainable employment, and so on. And that's amounted to 50 billion in structural changes over the next 10 years. This would not have been possible if there was not the capacity to negotiate with our colleagues at a European level. We've chosen that path, and we're in a very different place than we were 3.5 years ago, given our low interest rates that we can borrow at now, and given the changes that are taking place here in Ireland. I'd point out as well, Deputy Coppinger, I don't think any other country has been able to negotiate a deal in respect of Ireland being approved by everybody for a buyout of the 18 billion IMF loans in the way that we have done, or indeed that we've been able to deal with the situation insofar as promissory notes were concerned for very many years ahead. I've sent a message of congratulations to the Greek Prime Minister. I wish him well in the cabinet that he's appointing today. I look forward to working with the Greek Prime Minister at the European Council, and obviously that meeting will take place in the next, I think, in the next fortnight. Our economies are very different now, very different indeed, and Ireland is being held out as a country that is making real progress. But as I described in Davos last week, that's still a fragile position, and one in which there is no room for any kind of complacency in respect of the path that we're now on. So insofar as making arrangements for negotiations about debt and structural changes, the place to do that is at the ECOFIN meetings, at the European meetings with the various councils and the European Council itself. And Ireland has proven to be remarkably successful to date, and we intend to continue that. We understand the scale of challenges facing the people in Greece, with its unemployment at 25%, as high as 50% among young people, and the enormous scale of its debt. So I wish the Prime Minister well. I wish his new cabinet well. They face daunting challenges, and no doubt they will be engaging, hopefully constructively, with the European authorities in the next few days and weeks.